Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast, where we throw out the old blueprints so you can become who you were always meant to be. I'm your host, Jason Smith, and if you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button and share the podcast with your friends on social media and tag me in it at JBirdFit. In this week's episode, we're going to discuss how to break free from the anxious and avoidant trap and find people who are more emotionally available. So the question that I received was, since I came across your videos, I often find myself thinking about how to break free from the anxious cycle that plagues my relationships. I make an effort to be clear about my expectations and communicate them openly with my partner, but despite these efforts, things often don't work out due to differing expectations. If this pattern persists, I wonder how I can overcome it and find people to date who are not avoidant. So let's talk about how to break free from the anxious cycle in relationships and find people who are more emotionally available. And I'm going to get this out of the way. I feel like it goes without saying, but seek professional help. Consider seeking therapy or counseling to work through your attachment issues with guidance of a trained professional. Therapy can provide you with valuable insights and tools to help you navigate relationships more effectively. Now that everyone feels better because I said that, understand that when you are in the comment section telling other people that you don't know to go to therapy, it's a bad look for you. Take the time to consider that not everyone has access to therapy, can afford therapy, or even resonates with therapy. So for everyone else, there is self-education and personal development, which is also very valid and ultimately empowering. You can also get a jump start on your journey by cultivating self-love through signing up for the 21-day self-love challenge introductory short course in my Stand store. It's 5 short videos on the pillars of self-love and a great way to get introduced to some ideas and concepts that you may not have considered yet. And at the very end, there's going to be a very special offer for you. So what are the steps of finding a more emotionally available partner? A big first step is cultivating self-awareness and taking time to reflect on your attachment style and past relationships. What did your past relationship not only look like in terms of patterning, but what did they feel like to you within the body? Were you under high stress and anxiety that made you feel like you had lost yourself within the confines of this relationship? Understanding the origins of your anxious attachment style and recognizing how it affects your interactions and how you relate with others is a massive step in your journey. You can also develop self-confidence. And we do this by building your self-esteem and learning to make yourself a priority again or for the first time. You may have spent your entire life trying to do things for others as a means of being liked by them, all the while never asking yourself if you even like them to begin with. Do you like how they treat you or the way that they talk to you? So ask yourself, do I even really like this person and why? What do you admire about them? How does your body feel around them? How do you feel when you're apart? And then you can engage in activities that make you feel good about yourself and challenge your self-doubt. Get outside and move your body. And remember that you can always take a walk with me. Lift weights, do some yoga, qigong, Pilates, or whatever resonates with you, but you get your body moving. A simple 20-minute walk with a focus on nasal breathing has the power to change your entire day. And you can compound that over time. Lean into your hobbies and interests, those things that you were once able to get lost in for hours, but you found yourself abandoning for other people. Understand it's not only okay, but necessary to learn to ask for what you want. So set clear expectations and identify your needs in a relationship. Communicate them openly and honestly with potential partners to ensure alignment and avoid misunderstandings. It's also important to mention here to not date someone's future potential, but to see them for who they are in this moment. They may never become the person that you're picturing in your head of who you think they'll be in the future. And if they never change, I need you to ask yourself, can you love this person 50 years from now? Because they may never have the desire to do any type of inner healing work, personal development, or therapy. A common question that gets asked is, can you recognize avoidant behavior? And my simple answer is kinda. You can educate yourself on avoidant traits and behaviors, but here's the caveat to that. Who are you being right now? Are you the most secure version of yourself you've ever been? Or do you already feel butterflies, excitement, and find yourself overthinking everything they say or do while planning for future events and ignoring poor behaviors in the present moment that make you even more anxious and waiting for your phone to light up or ding with the next text message so you can feel seen, heard, loved, and understood. But then needing more text messages and attention because you constantly worry if they're going to reject or abandon you, not realizing that this is the behavior that can lead even secure people to become slightly avoidant and is the self-fulfilling prophecy in your relationships. So it goes back to self-awareness. How do you show up in relationships, and can you take ownership of that and recognize that your behavior contributes to potentially negative outcomes in your relationships? And this isn't putting all the blame on you, it's just simply an awareness of you and how you show up in your relationships. The next step is healthy boundaries. Learn to set and enforce healthy boundaries in your relationships. Boundaries create a sense of safety and respect, fostering more secure connections. And this is going to have to be another video on its own, but do you know your goals, values, and standards and boundaries for a relationship with you? And do you honor all of that with the people in your life? There will be a time for compromise, but that is something that is going to be communicated clearly. When we allow others to bypass our boundaries, they will lose respect for you and do it over and over again, leaving you feeling less than and ultimately building up resentment. So recognize that it's okay to take things slow and allow relationships to develop naturally and resist rushing into commitments. Give yourself time to assess compatibility and emotional availability. This is really key. What pace do you set for your relationships? If you date people who are in alignment with your goals, values, and standards, then setting a pace should be relatively simple. It's the people who don't respect that who aren't for you. And sometimes we slip into trying to prove ourselves to keep someone who hits all of our preferences. But you didn't realize that if you held your boundary, you would have gotten what you wanted in the end anyway, potentially. Or if you hold a boundary and they reject you, then they pull themselves out of your life so that what is for you can actually come in for you. You're actually making space for that. I also like to imagine that saying no is saying yes to something else. I just don't know what it is yet. And so what's for you could very well be right around the corner, but we'll stay in what we already know because, well, it's what we know. So it's important to learn from past experiences and take the lessons from those relationships and use them to grow. Analyze what worked and what didn't and make adjustments accordingly. Instead of seeing things as happening to you or this always happens or I always date avoidance, just learn to extract the lesson. Don't take it personally. Know what's for you is waiting for you to learn the lessons so you can level up and rise up to meet them. Imagine if that's all you really had to do was to take the lesson, assess it, learn from it, grow from it, and not take it personally while knowing what's for you just hasn't found you yet because you have a little more work to do before you can actually see it. Sometimes it's going to be what's always been right in front of you, and other times it's going to be around the corner. But I just want you to know that you're probably a lot closer than you think that you are. Remember, breaking free from an anxious attachment pattern is a journey. And finding a secure partner requires effort and self awareness. You have to stay committed to personal growth, and with time, you can develop healthier and more fulfilling relationships. Thank you all for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you rate and review the show to help us grow.